Good morning, Florida crew. Welcome in. Thanks for joining us again here on Tuesday. Jumping back into it for this week, seeing what we got going on today. Yeah, thanks for joining. Hopefully y'all had a good weekend. We definitely did. Got a little sun over the weekend. Went out to one of the lakes around here and did some cliff jumping. We tried to go on the boat, but the boat was having some issues. Essentially, we rebuilt the carburetor, and I guess one of the parts inside of it had a slightly larger needle on it, which caused the carb to basically give the engine too much gas. Essentially, is what happened. So we just flooded it once, and then we started it and then it flooded itself, so then we had to bring it back in, and we weren't able to use the boat, but we got to do some cliff jumping, got to do some swimming. We were out there for like 4 or 5 hours, so pretty good time. Definitely didn't put enough sunscreen on though, so a little burnt. It's actually pretty much all gone now, but definitely got a little burnt. But yeah, it was a good time. Glad to be back though on the grinds, jumping in to some trading, seeing what we got today, seeing what we got going on. Looks like we got some people joining in today, so welcome in Terry, welcome in Kathleen, thanks for joining. Thanks for checking us out again, seeing what we got going on. I guess let's jump into it here. So throughout the weekend, kind of had a little bit of a run up coming from all the way from Saturday, I guess. Yep, Saturday right here. Had a little bit of a dip, came up on Sunday and ran all the way up into Monday. Monday there was a trade that fired off. Had a little bit of a run up here. Didn't quite get to our target of target 1 up here, but it came down and stopped us out. So unfortunately, not a good trade yesterday, but we're checking out today now, so we'll see what's going on there. Around the same area though, we really haven't moved too much. Just stop kind of got hit, and that was really what took us out of the trade. If you were just jumping out early, I guess you could have gotten off on around 67 200 or so, but it did come down and hit you out. So if you were just trading it to target 1 or stop loss like you normally would have been, you would have been out, unfortunately. So we'll have to get the level set up today, see what we got going on today. These are all Monday's levels, Monday's setup, so we'll definitely have to get those ready, kind of jump into it and see what's going on today. I guess let's head on over to Kuroda.com and check that out. So we'll open up the main screen here. We'll open up our cockpit. Actually, you know what? Let's not open up the cockpit first. We want to just grab the triggers. We'll throw these on the chart here. So what we got going on. All right, so here's the levels for today. We got pretty much the same as yesterday. The breakdown level is a little closer price action today. Other than that, they're pretty close, pretty similar. We got our breakout line up here with our 30-minute range right on the top. Typically, if you've been watching our channel for a while, you know that the 30-minute range being closer to one of the triggers typically means you're going to break off to that side. So just based off the lines here, we're definitely looking to more of an upside. Technically, you do have the support and resistance up here to look into. So we got the resistance in the red dashed line, support in the blue dashed line. Support is down here around 65.66, and resistance at 66,994. So what does that mean? Really not a whole lot for us, honestly. There's a potential, that we're going to run there. Honestly, not too big of levels, so in reality, there's daily resistance, daily support. So if you're going to break down and you're taking the trade down or you're taking the trade up or whatever, then you're looking for that resistance to break if you're looking for a continuation down, or you're just watching it to see if there's some resistance there where you might need to be getting out. We did used to talk about the gaps on here quite a bit. The gaps being the distance between the breakdown or breakout and the support or resistance. You got about a 0.5 on the bottom, so actually that's pretty good in terms of breakdown, and there's nothing really on the top, so could break down today, I guess, based off the gaps, but we'll see what happens. Let's see what the battle walk says, or see what the Kubota system says. Yeah, overall today kind of looking more sideways price action. Definitely some room for it to go up, I guess, if we do get the alignment here with the Kubota system calling the same thing. So we'll see what happens there. Would also need to kind of come back up, and break above this level for that confirmation. But overall, a lot more or less, I think we're going to go sideways. Possibility of a breakdown, I guess, right now with how it's kind of behaving. Definitely seeing a break below that daily breakdown level, but it is that 8:30 to 8:45 candle, so we do have a bit of time that we can kind of hang around and see what's going on. It could be a little while before we really know what's happening. So yeah, we'll get back to you with that one. Yeah, it looks like Spirit Maker just joined, so welcome in, Spirit Maker. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for joining our live stream. Yeah, we are somewhat flagging, I guess. That's kind of something to point out too. We're getting a little bit of a flag kind of forming, something like this, little top, little bottom, something like that. You could also, have a bunch of different flags on here. That's kind of the idea right there of what I would be looking at. So possibility. Oh, excuse me. Possibility of either side price action. So it could break up, could break down. Typically with these kind of flags, you draw something like that. So it could go to that side, could go to this side. Just depends on how we break out of the flag, I guess. Pretty interesting right now. The price action is pretty close to the bottom of the flag. If we were looking at this exact flag right here, definitely pretty close to the bottom of the flag. We're not really pattern traders like that in that aspect. It works for some people. We don't really use it that much. We're more into the math and different indicators and levels and stuff like that. So it's definitely a possibility, but it's not something we're looking there. X users are all calling a bottom at 60k already. Yeah, a lot of people are thinking that was the bottom, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're still, our call has been that we're going to go to around that 45 to 50,000 level. And we have a reason for calling that with DTA and, the different Elliott wave pattern and stuff like that on the weekly. And that's why we've been looking at that level. That's why we've been calling it out. Right now, we're having a little bounce, but that's normal if you're trying to break through a big level like 60,000. It's a big fat round number, I guess is what I've heard it called before. But basically, it's just big level that, you know, everybody's kind of looking at and saying, well, that's never going to break. That's a big level, blah, blah, blah. Typically when you hit one of those, you're going to bounce off of it. And that makes sense if you go look at what the Kubota system is saying, that what level of the breakdown we're in according to the Elliott wave. So, you know, this could just be a bounce, and we're gonna bounce up a little bit, you know, as long as we don't clear, I think it's like 80,000 something, then we'll get the exact level here in a minute, but it's 80,000 something. If we don't break that, then we're gonna continue down more than likely. And especially when you get that break below 60,000, that's where we're gonna start tanking down. It could be pretty quick, you know, a little run down to that 50,000 level, 45,000 level, but overall, yeah, we are going to break down, and that's kind of the main target for that wave 5 of the Elliott wave system. So we'll see what happens. Rejecting at the daily 21 or the past 24 hours. So interesting. Yes, we have been. So we kind of ran up, hit that daily 21, bounced off of. So, and you know, looking at the daily, you can definitely see where the breakdown is. I mean, where does this look like we're bouncing really here? So, I mean, yeah, we're bouncing for sure, I guess, but where does it look like we're showing a sign of reversal? So, you know, just basics of TA, and you have your lower, or you have like your higher high, right? You set it, and then once we cross the previous higher low to the downside, like once we make a lower low than that, that's where we're technically in the opposite run, all right? So we broke that right here. So we made a lower low. So lower than this lower high, or higher low, I mean. Lower than this higher low. We made a lower low. Then we come up, technically make a higher, or a lower high, I guess. Not really much of one. It didn't really come up that much. But we end up breaking down, right? Make a lower low. So break down below that, then we come up, make a lower high, break all the way down, and then we come down here, make a lower low, and then now we're breaking up. But to get to the point where we're going to say, okay, well, now we're seeing signs of reversal, we're going to have to clear this level up here, which is 74,374, and that would show signs of, okay, maybe we are going to go up and go a little higher. 80, I forget what the exact level is, 80 something thousand though. But yeah, we have to clear this 74,200, let's just say. We have to clear 74,200 before we can even think about showing that reversal. Before that, we're just going to see that continuation to the downside is still in effect, because you're still in a downtrend. And you know, right now it's pretty perfect, because you can even just kind of go over here and draw a nice little line like that. Just something like that. So you're seeing that downtrend, right? And you can kind of just follow that line, downtrend. So daily is showing a nice downtrend. You know, could be a bounce, could be that we're reversing here. I don't know, but we are gonna have to clear that to daily 21 mainly, like Scriptmaker said, and then we're gonna have to come all the way up and clear this 74,200 area. If we don't clear that, then we're still in the downtrend. You know, sorry to say, but we have not gotten a reversal yet. And that's just for the daily. Like, that's just looking at the daily chart. So we could look at, you know, the weekly, we could look at the 4 hour, could look at 1 hour, could be looking at some different things. And maybe the trends are a little bit different. You know, maybe on the smaller time frames, we kind of flipped trend already. Maybe we're showing signs of a reversal on the smaller time frames. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play out, but it could show that it's starting to you know, play out, and we are looking for that confirmation here on the daily. We'll see though. Definitely looking like more of a bounce though, I would say, than a reversal. All right, we got our daily, our 845 candle close. There's predator lines all set up on there. Had a little break back into price action here, so didn't end up breaking down below our breakdown level, so we're still kind of in the middle zone here. Nothing too exciting happening. Let's check out our daily brief here. So for the daily brief, we have bear wave 4 bounce is 13.7% complete from the 60,055 wave 3 low, with the structural ceiling at 80,632. Price at 600 or 66,807.80 has recovered meaningful ground, but remains in the early bracket of this corrective advance. And the macro wave structure says this is a counter trend bounce against the daily and weekly bearish framework. Every session inside the 60,055 to 80,632 range is a wave bounce, not a new bull leg. When price reaches that 80,632, expect wave 4 termination signals and wave 5 confirmation setup. A weekly close above that 80,632 level indicates the labeled bear sequence entirely and invalidates the labeled bear sequence entirely and requires a full macro engine rerun. So essentially, there's that level that we were talking about. That 80,632 level is the level that I was talking about. We need to come up and kind of clear before we can say, well, we are indeed fully, obviously the daily has their levels, weekly is going to have its levels that we need to flip before we say, okay, we're in a reversal. That 80,632 level is kind of the overall level that we need to flip to say, okay, we are in fact going to continue to the upside, and the bear wave is no longer really even something that we should be worried about. We're not even going to go down to that 50,000 level or whatever. 60,000 was in fact the bottom. But we do need to flip that before we can say that, for sure, as of right now, there's that level that we've been talking about, that 45 to 50,000, still in effect. Could even go a little bit lower than that, but that level is still in effect until we break that level, until we break the 80,632 level. Other than that, you kind of saw the same thing that we were talking about. The smaller time frames are showing signs of a possible bounce, showing signs of possible reversal here, whereas the daily and the weekly longer time frames are showing that still, in fact, we are in a bearish trend, overall framework kind of setting up. Today's energy, we have that multi-timeframe fuel that is fractured. The 4 hours bullish with the ADX at 30.26, trending strong, with the 1 hours flipped with negative momentum, and the 50-minute is tangled at a 0.13% ribbon spread with 0 direction velocity. Daily and weekly are both bearish. This is the macro opposition, not a pullback within a bull structure. PMARP overextension has been present across all 3 primary timeframes for every session since yesterday's New York Open. With the 50-minute at 91.3%, 4 hour at 96.8%, and 1 hour at 77% at the London Open snapshot. RSI divergence has been flagged across 6 consecutive session transitions, and momentum has not confirmed a single price high through this entire advance. So kind of the same thing. Giving you a little bit more breakdown, on the different time frames. You got the 4 hour bullish, 1 hour is kind of more of that negative momentum, and then 15-minute is really showing that we could really be either. It's showing a lot of non-conviction, kind of just wanting to go both ways, and then the PMARP pretty much on every single chart is overextended. Jewel divergence warning is active. RSI divergence across 6 consecutive session transitions mean momentum has systematically failed to confirm the advance. Any trigger today fires into a market where every recent push higher came without energy confirmation, and that pattern elevates stop level pickoff risk internally. So the system is standing down today overall. So if we go down here and look at it, you can see we got a stand down system call out right there. We got no trade today, kind of firing off. So like we were kind of saying, as we're looking at the levels, there's a lot of up, down, sideways, whatever price action. It's not really showing one way or the other. So, you know, we don't really have any kind of directional move today. Is I guess what we're trying to say. We don't have anything that system's calling, obviously. And even just looking at the chart, there's not a whole lot of just looking at it and being like, okay, well, maybe we're going to go down, maybe we're going to go up. Definitely looking like a sideways day. Condition 2 fires. So the system, I guess why it says down is that condition 2, there's 2 condition fires. Multi-timeframe execution is confirmed and simultaneous across 4-hour momentum state, degraded by the 1-hour flipping negative, while PMARP sits at that 96.8% overextension on the 4-hour. The histogram is running on a structural position alone, not fresh fuel. B, cinematic fuel is strong and label only, with the 50-minute Tangled at that 0.13% ribbon spread, rendering the grade A structure rating rather than an active trigger. And then C, the 50-minute cinematic grade is Tangled, not primed, meaning the short-term engine requires to carry price to T1 on either direction is absent. Beyond the mechanical condition, the performance auditor has issued a standing directive. Chop risk energy produced 0 directional calls from 6 attempts last week, and while the Day's harmonic label is sweet zone rather than chop risk, the 15-minute Tangled state with no directional velocity is functional, identical to a short-term chop engine. So essentially, there's just a lot of different indicators and things kind of going together, across our different agents that are looking at this to say, basically everything is kind of fighting against each other. Essentially, like one thing says one way, one thing says the other way. So, where's that put us as in looking at trades and stuff today? That's putting us kind of in a position where we can't really trade or jump into it. So, kind of makes it hard for us to find anything to really trade that's worthwhile. What would change this? So, if this session were to become tradable, we would need to see the 50-minute cinematic grade flipping from Tangled to prime with a ribbon spread of 40% and a directional velocity confirmed. The 1 hour would also have to return to positive, and currently the 1 hour is bullish in trend structure but running negative momentum, which means the trend level and the field reading are in direct conflict. A clean breakout above that 66,807 on prime 15-minute conditions with 9 hour turning positive would open the long setup at a single target allocation given the persistent divergent stack. Breakdown below that 65,999 on the same conditions would open the short setup, though the heavy wall at 64,283 caps T3 regardless. So essentially, if we break either side of the system and we have some different indicators kind of behind them showing us that they are in fact going to continue that way, then that will be kind of what would break us out of that stand down state and be more into a trade down, trade up state. As of right now, that's not really happening on the other side. We're not seeing that. This is why you trade with the trend and not against it. Yep. That's why you trade with the trend and not against it. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but like right now you could probably find a trade. Maybe we're going to go down today. It's kind of looking like we're going to break down at the bottom of our levels. But essentially, and it could break down a lot harder than I'm saying, but essentially the whole goal is to trade in the direction of the trend. And the reason you want to do that is because when you take a downtrend and I guess the best way to describe it is kind of, if you think of it like, you're in a river and you're swimming. If you're trying to swim with the water, like with the water's going, it's a lot easier to swim. You can get places a lot faster. A lot of times you can get a lot farther on, if we gave you like 10 seconds to swim either way, you're going to get a lot farther if you're going down with the stream, or with the river, or with the current. if you're trying to go against the current, it's going to be a lot harder. You know, you might get up there. You might get a pretty decent like swim up there, but more than likely it's going to be, regardless of if you make it up there, I guess it's going to be harder to go upstream. And you know, maybe the current's too strong, you can't even go upstream at all. Maybe it's so strong that you end up even going downstream a little bit when you're trying to go upstream. So essentially why we trade with the trend is because it's going to be a lot easier to get down. You know, it's going to be a lot easier to go down and hit your target of where you want to go, because you're just going with the stream. It's just nice and easy swimming. You know, you wouldn't even really have to swim. You can kind of just float there and get there. So that's essentially, you know, the basics of it. Obviously trading is a little more complex than that, but that's kind of the basics. That's why I want to trade with it, not against it. You want to have that stream flowing with you, make you have a nice easy go. You don't want to be like working against it constantly. Makes it a lot harder to trade. So that's what we're trying to do, is, you know, just help y'all out, help y'all kind of see how to look at the trend, help you see where to find it. That way, when you guys are looking at, you know, possibly seeing, okay, well, where am I going to look at, maybe taking a trade, or look at maybe, you know, seeing whatever I want to do with my system, you can say, okay, well, where's the trend at? Are we going down? Are we going up? What's the trend behind us? What's price action look like? And then you can make a decision based off of that. So right now, obviously, the trend is not really present. You know, we have a bunch of different indicators going, you know, every which way, and we don't really have a clear direction on which way to trade. So what we're doing right now is we're just going to kind of sit out, wait, let price action kind of trade either way, and then, you know, later we'll see about where we're going to go. Yeah. Hopefully, I guess hopefully that makes sense. We are in fact bullish though. Just overall, we have 3 out of 5 though. We're building. We got the jewel on the same right indicator. And then these are just our breakout levels we were looking at earlier. But, you know, these are important right here, because that kind of does show, you know, even though we might be on that bounce, it is important to see that, you know, overall the trend is leaning a little bit more bullish. So you could see, like, if you're looking out of the two, you know, short or long, more than likely the long is going to be the one that fires off. If you get one of the two, you're probably going to see the long. And why is that? That's because, you know, your trend is behind you. So that's where the river's flowing, is towards the bullish side. So it doesn't mean that the upriver couldn't be there, but it does mean that we you know, we could go either way. So we'll see. I mean, it does mean we'll probably more than likely go long. All right. Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's kind of what you guys got to be thinking about today as we're jumping into it. Like I said, there's not a whole lot really going on in terms of the market. Looking a lot of sideways today. It looks like a lot of sideways today. So I wouldn't be expecting too much really going on today. Like I said, it could break down though. It's definitely on the bottom here of our range. Definitely showing signs of a breakdown, you know, just according to the I guess the lines here. If we get the breakdown below here, get to close, then you could see a little bit of a breakdown here. But I wouldn't be expecting too much of a breakdown, honestly. Like I said, it's more likely to go long, so if it does go short, it probably won't be a super strong short. Could you trade it? Possibly. Depends on what your system is, I guess. Our system's not going to be able to trade it, but maybe you're rocking something different. So, yeah, just thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. Hopefully that was helpful to y'all. If y'all learned something. If you guys liked our content, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not already, hit the subscribe too. Hit the bell notification if you're interested in keeping up with us. We will be live again tomorrow. We're going to be pretty much 30-minute live stream tomorrow. I think normally they're around that, but we're gonna have to keep it tight because I have some obligations I gotta get to right about 9. So right after 9. But yeah, thanks for joining today. Thanks for coming in, checking us out. Like I said, we'll be live again tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. CST, so Central Standard Time, 8:30 Texas time. I guess if you guys want a place to kind of base it off of, but just go ahead and change that to your time zone at your location, and there you go. That's how you do it. So yeah, 8:30 a.m. though, we will be live again, checking out the markets, seeing what's going on. We'll let you guys know the breakdown of tomorrow, let you guys kind of see what's going on, see if there's any kind of possible trades or anything like that going on, talk about what happened today a little bit, but other than that, that's kind of it for today. So thanks for joining, again, live tomorrow, and other than that, happy trading. We'll see you all tomorrow.